Okay.
And then here, this little arrow on the right, which is saying on to go right. We click here, and this is the link that we have to copy so that we can share with everyone. So there is an option which says copy. And then,
Copy the link.
yeah, copy the link, and then what we can do is we can do WhatsApp live. Someone's okay. Do you want to? Do you want me to use your WhatsApp to share the link with everyone? Okay.
I hope I have enough juice.
Oh yeah, everything is here. Don't worry. So we go there.
30% that won't last me.
No. We don't need this. So we go to WhatsApp web. I got it. And I scan this. And now your WhatsApp is on the screen.
Oh my gosh. So wait a second.
We gotta wait a little. Your internet is working, right?
What?
Your internet?
Yes, but the battery is 30% right now.
Oh, it's okay. But I just okay. Your internet is very slow. It's not connecting yet.
Maybe because it was in the closet.
Om Shanti, Kevin. Om Shanti.
Oh, I'm Shanti. Okay, let's see where is it. Let's see who is connecting it. Wi-Fi on.
Oh, I got it here. So inspirational, BK Inspirational English. I go there and I paste it and I send this to everyone. And then which other group do you want to share it? Power
That's
of
it.
Shah. That's it?
That's it.
No any other?
No, that's it.
This is BK Hansa.
No.
Now let me send it to Hansa Ben so then she can share it with others. Right? And we can write here. Is your internet still working?
I have it. This is at home, so it's not connected to here. No wonder it's having problems.
This is error occurred. Your internet is not connected.
This is my home. This one maybe is here.
It's from here, yes. But it's not connected because it says some sort of.
Should we push it here?
Yeah, I did that. Let's just turn it on once and then turn it on again.
Okay, now it's connecting. Okay,
Hey, connected. Nice.
No wonder I was losing juice. Now it's 29%. Do I have to worry about this? Should I turn it off?
No, you can just do it like that.
Would you like that more?
Okay, so it's now shared with Hansaben and in BK Inspirational. So let me write some sort of please click on the link below to see live class,
Live.
to watch live
To watch live. That's it.
inspirational class. No, what is it?
My George is called.
Yeah, to watch live Mike
My
George.
George.
From Sacramento?
That's it.
Okay.
Well, it would have helped.
Oh, never mind.
Good.
Your internet has stopped working again.
What? Why are you connecting to mine? That should be connected here.
No, because I need your internet to be on. So then, oh, your internet with the. Oh, you turned it off.
I turned it off because it's dead. 30%. Like.
Oh no! Don't turn it off. Turn it on. This is why it's not working. I mean, you can just leave it like this. Like my phone is still
My phone
on.
is going to die in a minute because it's 30%.
And this side also. Where is
Put
the
it on
daughter?
charging.
I don't have the charger.
And
She has it. We can use hers. We'll find the charger.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so I should turn it on in a second. Let me go get a charger.
Yeah, we did it. So it's already shared now. And let me log you out of.
No, here.
Okay, you can put it in charging. Since we are not going to share it with
This is
anyone
not
else,
the right one.
is it different?
Yeah.
Well, we don't need it anymore, anyways.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So like we are already live. Just to try it on. Let me check on my phone.
Right.
Oh, am I not in the group anymore?
What? You're good. You have to come back, especially
What?
in these events. You are essential.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I have to put a hang of this. I didn't get the hang of it yet.
Mm.
You don't have to show me again. You went so fast.
We
Do
will.
any pins anywhere? We need to have pins to be able to write.
Oh, right here. Open that drawer.
Oh wait, you can take this one now. We don't need it. Yes, which one? The first one? Hello, Shanti.
Long time.
Yeah, I've been so busy with my school and work. Yeah, it's going so good so far since it's just the
Can
beginning.
you see the drawer and you put the pins in it?
I did not find them. I tried to check. There is nothing. No pen. There are only CDs.
What about below? Below.
I checked below too. Nothing. Oh, it's CDs. All right. So for the experiment, I just emailed the link to myself. So here I am live. And then when people will click on this link, we should be able to see us.
We're looking for pens. We don't have time for
Yeah,
like
we are
paper.
here. We're looking for pen.
Come, where's the pen?
It's up. Well, we don't have any viewer yet. We don't have it.
No, nice to see
So
you.
this tells you.
Put this over there.
Yeah, we have to set it up. So there is only one viewer, which was me, and there is second one who just joined us.
This one.
Okay.
Plug it, okay? Just a second.
I'm good to plug. Right.
Can I grab one?
Is there something in the bottom?
No, it's just the table.
Can I have one for my
Okay. So like, yeah, it's a fancy table.
I'm Shanti
I'm
Karma.
Shanti, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
So like if I'm standing here,
Okay.
how tall is Mr. Mike?
A little,
Little
about
taller
your
than me?
height. Just a teeny bit. There.
But like,
And then the flip chart.
and then yeah, flip chart is visible.
Mm-hmm.
So as the seats, like
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So
So
where's
the class will be
No.
available afterwards too. It's gonna be live to YouTube, right?
yes, as of now it's live. We are
But then
live.
afterwards, it's still gonna be available on YouTube.
It'll be
We
recorded.
don't have any word. He sounds. I'll come again.
So would it be recorded?
It'll be recorded, yes.
Good. That's what we need. So
I hope
stick
it'll be
around and show me.
Okay. I am not sure if it gets recorded. So let us check.
Oh, let me show you the instructions. So it says, okay, so we clicked in events, schedule events.
Oh yeah, they do get recorded.
They did?
Yes, but they like I think you guys went live earlier too. Did you? In Who Gets
Maybe it
Social
was
Media?
maybe 2 weeks ago that she was here.
Oh yeah, so they did. They did live.
Yeah, but
So-
who did it? I didn't do it.
No, I don't know either. It's maybe Vandana sister.
Okay, put the COVID title. And then it says, window will open.
No. Well, this is updated now because YouTube has
Okay.
updates.
Okay. forget
Nothing
it.
is same.
Okay.
Well, it'll save because it says here.
Okay.
So when we are done, where you have to go? You gotta go to YouTube again, and then here, my channel, and you'll find all the videos that you've been online, like live.
Yeah.
Sets.
So when we hit live,
We are already
it'll-
live now.
It'll be recorded.
So it's technically recording.
Okay, so we just have to set him up.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
how do you
it's-
stop it for some reason? We need to stop. Where would that?
Well, when it's live, we just end it. It will go. It will end. Then you'll have to start it over again to go live.
Be around, will you? Or you
I'm-
have to leave?
No, I'm here.
Let me join you.
I'm here staying tonight because no one is here.
Then we'll do it together. Yeah. Okay. Go eat. And get some coffee. I mean, chai tea.
Okay, I'll have
So
something
go,
yet.
go do that. Okay.
I need to put it down.
Yes, it is. I'll go over there, farther back there. Oh, okay. We could do that.
How are you? Good. And you? Good to see you. Did you need to be He's gonna take it. We have his books as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll be fine.
All right. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know I saw you at Shivani's program, right?
I was there for the 15 workshop last week.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to think. Oh, sure. Would you like something to eat? We have something to share with you. Yeah. Yeah, sit down, just put the basic. Is your mother here? Your mother?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So Good, brother. Doing fine. I'm glad I made it on time.
Your husband was Oh, you have a lot.
I had little lunch.
Late lunch. Okay.
Oh, we should be taking off our menu. If I take that much, so I'll have to have somebody back on. Yeah.
So what we will do.
I can fit in a chair, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to have my walker get in people's way.
No, but if you could sit in your walker.
Oh, yeah, I can sit in a chair too. I
Oh,
prefer the chair better.
Okay, all right.
I can sit if you want to move the walker out of the way and we're not gonna be moving anywhere, right?
We can move it.
Yeah, I just can't move around without it really.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, I can, when you sit here, I'll
No,
just.
it's okay.
Sit here?
Go ahead.
I don't have a husband.
Oh, I think there was someone walking in with you.
No, maybe she has a husband, I don't know.
Do you need help, sister? Moving away the walker, maybe put her over there?
Maybe we can just put it out here.
Sure, you can do.
No, if we do a lot of standing, then I'll need it. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
You didn't like it?
Oh, okay.
I liked it when I was really young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sister Raj. Tumma listen. Community. Maybe sometime this week. I don't know. Tomorrow we should do it. A lot of finish that, right?
Yes.
And sister, I one more. So what you doing?
Maybe at the end. पहले काले बात करते
ऋषि भाई अनु बहन भाई साहब को बोलो ये बंद कर दे
That's the only drawback of having a long legs. Tall body. It's harder to fit in the seats of aircraft, in the buses. backseat of a car.
You're all trying to avoid.
Most of the time, I don't need step stool to grab them.
That's true. Sure, be good. It's good for your heart. Is that good?
Oh, yeah, that works. Thank you so much.
And then there was some extra pens that someone was handing out. Was that, your wife was up there?
We have some extra papers if you want to make notes or something.
You know what wrong we have been in there?
We need few brothers. We need brothers' help.
Okay, we resurrected some pens. Anybody have suggestions? Yes. Uh-huh.
I have a little notebook.
I got so excited.
Oh, great to see you.
Actually, I saw you come out, but then you went somewhere, then I decided to figure out
Where are you from, Papa? Here. You always come to
Hello, Mr. Perry.
You go to like a major event like that. We do the same. It's very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Life is never ending. Yeah. Go to the dimension. You're all busy for nothing. You're all busy for nothing.
That's true.
You don't do what you need to do. Yeah. That's true. That was not a real purpose of life. That was just a side business and you made that a main thing. You're absolutely right.
Anybody like some water?
Oh, I have already shared. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do it myself if I could.
That's why we had this conversation before, like me and my friends were talking about some people countries, like they're talking about certain places like home. Some places I forgot the name, maybe 3 years somewhere. It's better to live like, yeah, I mean, but.
Everybody else, no, we are starting.
I go to
We are starting now. Same name? Thank you.
After certain time, when you go on vacation, I heard you to the yeah, more problems. I think
What is the time, final time? Okay, so this will, okay, so within 10 minutes, you will complete it.
Music or you didn't know that you were so needed.
I was at 20. I live towards Calvin Road. We still from Econo right next to Asmo. More south what becomes Asmo for it. And then there's Calvin right there about it. Pretty dense community now. It used to be like yeah. Not just am I on something? Good, good, very good. Good to see you.
It's already live. And then these are like 2 people. It says 0. It means nobody is watching us. If there is number, that means people are watching us.
Okay, so I don't have to do anything, right?
No, we are already live.
And when I ended there.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Simple.
Okay.
If you want, I can stay here. I don't mind.
Okay.
No, you hear me?
No,
Like,
you can sit. I'm going back.
no, I go to say second. No. Because you have to do a lot of stuff. They might ask you to bring candles.
Then I'll go to the side. Because of the
This is the signal. Okay.
Are you learning how to do the YouTube?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Okay. Use your export the young. Yeah.
They made it easier. Oh, for me, it's something new.
Yeah, I know. They keep changing a little bit every time.
Yeah. So now I have to learn
Mm-hmm.
still. So anyway, I guess I'll do this and do designated
Yeah,
computer words.
yeah.
My choice.
Wow. That's one way to learn, right?
Yeah, but you have these young people help you out when they will come when I need them.
Yeah, I got the flyers. How old is she?
Oh, okay, girl. Oh, yeah, I can see her sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, when the sugar is like this.
Yeah. So that's gonna be it. Then she can come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked online.
Just to know.
But it's not very comfortable. So you see my.
Yeah.
Oh,
Comfortable. That is just like yoga in it. That's good.
Yeah.
So. Yes.
Right.
Whatever.
No, we need him right there because of the microphone and everything.
Nobody showed me how to work the system.
But we'll see.
So to see that flyer. We all get a word on this. Warriors or clubs.
But we create the emotions, right?
So really, yeah, I would so much. Getting that kind of. Walk away. So there, yeah, have it. Oh.
See, Gordon came for a reason.
Also shows us the trial going on.
Anyway, so you retired probably quite interesting. I met some family. Earlier in the year, we lived in Australia. Went to South Korea. Actually, still in there. We went to all of the new universities. When that ended, we flew to Nova Scotia with the Canadian American. And then there have been some weddings. I have my nephew getting married next month, and then I do have one. And I do have volunteers. I work with the Esquimalt Foundation. So I work with, they have a nonprofit farm. So I go out to the elderly Is it working?
Yeah.
So they have assigned two people. One lady is like 85 and the other guy is homeless, he's 74. And just like to check on them. There are people who volunteer to do seating, but I do. Then I volunteer for what they call neighborhood court, which is in Yoga County, which is for crimes that are less serious. They can go to the neighborhood court and we listen. I had two cases last week, and it's only in Yoga County here. They actually follow this idea from San Francisco. That's where they implemented it. They moved the policy and implemented it in Yoga County. So I represent, I'm one of the police, but second, that's what I did. I can be there. I get up like at 5:15 and I go for my walk in the morning and up to an hour and a half. So I have my schedule. Yeah. Yeah, because there are so many things, and then I have a lot of friends, there's always stuff happening with them, and relationships that I've worked in for 40 years. So some of the friends, parents are giving them, like, two parents, one's mom is 88 years, his friends are different things. It's fun. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, family, friends, travel, volunteer work, there's all kinds of things. I mean, I was doing something, I was always worried, now I don't do it. For me, in December.
Other microphone also require everyone is here.
He says it's good. He will say. Yeah.
So what were you with the Department of Education?
So, what did you don't need it. No, you can sit there.
Oh my God.
So we will help you turn on light. And she will. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because because they perform such an important function, you can't be like really new. You have to have the organization and time. How long did you work there? Okay. Oh.
Can you say so?
Yeah.
I just try.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. So, Om Shanti, everybody. So we serve food little earlier because we thought some maybe, have to go early also. And then fortunately, Brother Mike is here on time. The last time we had a guest came a little late. So this time we were adjusting it. So now he has started.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I think first of all we will welcome Brother Mike, who's here.
Welcome.
One hand wave. We will welcome him with some flowers.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Welcome everyone to this very special evening today. We have a special program for everyone. everybody must be feeling the good vibration of this spiritual gathering tonight. Did everybody get something to eat?
Yes.
Good. The food was made with a lot of love and a lot of powerful vibration was put into it. So you must be feeling that. That's Baba's recipe. So we'll have to check with Baba. So today we have this very special, wonderful evening with Brother Mike, who's here from UK, London. He has been in this knowledge for 30 plus years, and he's going to share with us and awaken us with different techniques and methods on the key to mastering our emotions. We human beings are living our lives according to our emotional expressions. So we need to balance our emotions. We need to make our emotions positive. We need to discipline our emotions. So we have Brother Mike here to show us how. I'll tell you a little bit about Brother Mike. He's an author of 14 books focused around self-awareness and spiritual intelligence. As a teacher of meditation for over 30 years, one of his specialist areas is helping people become more aware of the link between their unconscious mindsets and their day-to-day behaviors. He guides people to liberate themselves from stressful feelings, change the way they respond to others, and feel better about and within themselves, wherever they are. In a unique blend of insight, wisdom, and humor, Mike guides, coaches, and facilitates the personal and executive development of people in companies and corporations in over 30 countries, bringing together the key strengths of the 21st century: emotional intelligence, management, leadership development, and continuous unlearning. His books include Don't Get Mad, Get Wise, The 7 Ahas of Highly Enlightened Souls, Mindsets and Beings, Being Yourself, and his latest book, The Wisdom of Personal Undevelopment. So we have Mike here with us, and if anybody needs to get an autograph, we have several books on the table. He will be happy to do it. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you left me some time to speak. So very warm welcome. Thanks for taking some time out this afternoon on a busy weekend, I would imagine, for most of you. And it's an honor to be back here. I was here, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. Hands up those who were here 3 or 4 years ago. Aha, we have quite a few survivors. That's fantastic. So for those of you who don't know me, perhaps the real introduction, put all that to one side, that's just, what do we call that? Fluff. That's what it's called, fluff. The real introduction is I woke up about 30 years ago and I realized I was very stressed out. I had a great deal of stress in my life. Hands up those who do stress here. Anyone do stress? Hands up the stressed ones. If you don't put your hand up, I don't believe you. Yeah. And it kind of crept up on me very slowly in my life. And I realized I have to change something. So I went to look outside and inside to see what I had to change. And I began to realize very quickly the one thing no one ever teaches us at school, university, our parents don't teach us because they don't know. It's the big hole in all our educations, everyone's education. And it's called self-understanding. If I don't understand me, I can't manage me. If I can't manage me, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my attitudes, my behaviors, if I can't manage those energies, then I can't manage those things around me. You know the things around you. You went to school here? When I went to school, we learned the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. I could never work out why they were called the 3 R's, because 2 of them don't begin with R. And they're trying to teach us how to spell. And so the real R's in life are the 4 R's around you every day. Number 1, your responsibilities. You get a little bit of an education as to how to do things, projects and processes, but are you a human doing or a human being? And no one teaches us how to create our state of being. And so we surrender our state of being to the world around us. And the second R is the context of all our lives. It's called relationship. And no one teaches us how to create, nurture, sustain, repair a human relationship. And I realized that's why the lawyers are having such a good time. Any lawyers here? I'm going to be careful. And so the third R is your roles. Every day you find yourself in different scenes playing different roles. And no one teaches us how to play the right role in the right scene at the right way at the right moment. Yeah. So I went, wait a minute, I'm not just playing roles, I create the roles. So suddenly life, wow, it's very playful, very creative. But what do? We take it all very seriously. It's a serious business life, isn't it? Isn't it serious business? And we get very serious. And the reason for that is we just settle for 2 roles. One at work, one at home. Then we go, that's what I do, this is what I do at home, that's what I do at work. And we get very serious about playing those roles. In fact, we don't play, we're just very attached to them. And that's what makes us take life so seriously. Most of us live a very serious life, punctuated by Hollywood productions. And the 4th R is your resources. Everyone has 4 levels of energy. Resource means energy. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We get a little bit of education as to how to manage the physical, diet, relaxation, exercise, but no one ever teaches us how to manage our spiritual, emotional, and mental energy. So I realized very quickly, I'll just let adjustments be made because you are watching Hansa do that now. So that's it. Are you okay? Is that all right? No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Better? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And so I realized very quickly my stress, my unhappiness, my suffering doesn't come from other people or situations or events or the clock or the deadline or the family or even the government. It's coming from how I respond to those things. That's the key. If you get that key, if that penny really drops in your life, that it's not them, it's me, then it changes everything. But it's not easy to see it. It's not easy because you're so addicted. We become so addicted to blaming others, to projecting responsibility onto others for how we feel in ourselves, that it's like, I don't want to give up my drugs. I don't want to give up my drugs. And I'm a bit of a threat to people's drugs. I'm going to threaten your drugs today. I hope that's okay. See, now you are looking at me very seriously. So let me lay the foundation because we're going to explore the topic of emotions. So just it's useful just to put in place a reminder, which I'm sure you all know theoretically, that the dance of life is a dance between 2 energies. 2 very different energies. What do we say? I'm a human being. I have a human form and there's a being of consciousness. There's matter and mind, body and soul. Yeah, 2 energies. One's very physical. You can see it, cut it, burn it, drown it, cook it, eat it. Well, maybe not cook it and eat it. It's very tangible. It's very visible. And the other one's very invisible, intangible, internal. But both energies interact to create the journey of life. Now, which energy are you taught to build your sense of identity out of? Physical, yeah. And that's why when you go to the mirror in the morning, the first thing you do, you look in the mirror and you go, ah, and you frighten yourself away. And if you notice, that's where your stress begins. As soon as you look in the mirror, Because from the belief that you are just what you see in the mirror comes thoughts, anxiety thoughts, worry thoughts, tense thoughts. Another wrinkle, another gray hair. What will they think of me? Yeah, and then from thought comes action. So what's the first action? Not just for the girls, but for the boys too. And now I can face the world. Yeah, that's how most of us get up in the morning, basically, because we believe we're just this material form. Yeah, but actually, we're not. It's the reality is I'm this energy, the energy that brings the form to life, the vitality, the vital energy, the animating energy, anima, animus. You've heard this word, and animating energy. This is what I am, the invisible, the internal, the intangible energy of consciousness. Or spirit, soul, psyche, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. But this energy is what I am. Now, you can't prove that scientifically because that's why science has nothing to say about consciousness. Because you can't get consciousness in a test tube. You can't both poke at it and say, can you see what I see? Because that's what science demands, that we be able to see it, touch it, cut it. But you can't do that with consciousness. So you can't prove it exists unless you decide to be your own scientist. Yeah, and you can if you want. There's a very simple experiment that you can do to prove to yourself that you are not what you see in the mirror. It goes like this. You can take it away after today, and you can practice this experiment. Your body has to be in this room right now. Is that true? Yeah, I think so. It can't be anywhere else, can it? It has to be here right now. But you can leave the room in 1 second. In fact, some of you have gone already. Yeah, I can tell. You're looking at me, but you're looking straight through me. You know, if you don't blink once every 4 seconds, I know you've gone somewhere else. You know that? You know the moment when a friend senses you've just checked out? You know that moment? You and they say, are you still with me? And that's the moment when they say that, you go, oh, sorry, what were you saying? And if you're very aware, you have no idea how long you were away. Was it 5, 10, 15 seconds? Because you went beyond the awareness of time. And you have no idea where you went exactly, because you went beyond the awareness of space. So you went beyond the awareness of time and space. But your body had to stay here. Do you get it? Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because we're so used to being, orienting, seeing, engaging with time and space and action and movement and change that we've forgotten how to raise our consciousness beyond that. But if you ever learn to meditate seriously, not religiously, but seriously learn to meditate, you will be able to do that in 1 second. Go beyond time and space, wherever you are. And then when you come back into the awareness of change and movement and external circumstances, when you come back into that awareness, you'll notice your energy, your consciousness, which is energy, is refreshed. It's refocused. It's recharged. See? That's why they've been practicing in the East for 2,000 years. Yeah? So it's another proof, actually, that you're not this. To keep the body healthy, you have to put it to sleep, don't you? Every night you go to sleep, I hope. Yeah, you do that. You do that every night. You put it to sleep and you rest the body. It recharges the body and the brain. But for you to rest, for you to recharge, don't go to sleep. Wake up. Awaken your awareness. Awaken your consciousness. Awaken. Because right now, we are asleep. And one of the signs that you are asleep is you become very emotional. Yeah, really? Well, actually, let me stop here. And let me ask you to have a chat with the person next to you, a little conversation, just a very quick conversation. And how would you together define emotion and how would you define feeling? You want to do that just for a moment? How would you define emotion and how would you define feeling? I'm giving you a little bit of a clue, but there's the conversation. Do you want to say hello to the person next to you, especially if you haven't come with them? Introduce yourself. Hello, how are you? I am. And then see if you agree. What is emotion? What is a feeling? Do you talk to each other in Sacramento? Everyone, yes? Yeah. Hello, how are you? I am, you are? Yeah, come on.
So then, my responsibility is emotion. And then the feeling would be how my body.
Yeah, you can create your own, create your own emotions.
Not similar, but it's Let's see what you say.
Finished?
Yeah.
Agree?
No.
No.
Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's good. Everyone agree? Hands up those who need some conflict resolution.
I think we all do.
Some of you were not talking, I noticed. I'm not speaking. No, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just kidding. I'm not playing. So anyone, emotion? Anyone? Definition of emotion? What is emotion?
What I read somewhere is emotion is energy in motion.
Energy in motion, yeah.
So that would be like your response to something.
Okay,
And it's observable by the other person. It's more outward.
okay. Whereas a
And
feeling,
feeling would be how you feel inside when you create that emotion. So
Okay.
if you respond angrily, then your body might be tense and your heartbeat goes up, and that's something more subjective.
okay,
So emotion would be more objective. Other people can observe what's going on.
subjective and objective. Okay, that's
That's the
good.
way I understand.
Great. Anyone else?
Emotions you can see in somebody if somebody is crying or sad or happy.
So emotions
they
are visible when behavior, okay?
And feelings are like I feel something about you. You are a positive person.
So you
Or
feel
that is
something.
negative person.
So it's like internal,
Yeah, that's what we do.
external and internal. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Very good. Anyone else? Emotion is, yeah.
I think feeling is an internal thing and the emotion is the external things.
Thing? What do you mean by thing?
I mean, feeling, you can feel it.
Okay.
Emotion, you can see it, visible.
So emotions are visible, whereas feelings are invisible.
Yes.
So, okay, so external behavior, emotion, internal movement, feeling. Okay, that's similar, I guess. It's good.
Emotions false and they're not real.
Emotions aren't real, whereas feelings,
No, I don't agree.
Feelings are real because you feel it. It's like that. But emotions are not real.
emotions. We can't fake
emotions are not real, feelings are real.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm not sure. I don't think you're allowed sometimes in a definition. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I think they are very similar. Like it's hard to distinguish
feeling and
Yeah, it's
it
not
is-
easy.
It's a mix of both the things because in feeling also like it is internal, right? We feel good, we feel bad, we feel angry.
Yeah.
And emotion is also like, we can scale it 1 to 5, like how are you feeling?
Okay.
So to me, I think it is.
How strong is the emotion? That's when you're scaling, isn't it?
Yeah.
How intense is the emotion that you are feeling? Is that right?
It's a mix of both.
So feeling is the response of emotions.
Sorry, feeling is?
Response of emotions.
Feelings is a response to emotion. So you have an emotion, then you create a feeling in response to it. Okay, it's good. Anyone else?
I think it's opposite. Emotions they come from feelings.
Emotions come from
Byproduct of
feelings. So feelings first and then emotions. It's tricky, isn't it? It's really tricky. And you've done really well for what? 2 minutes of thinking and chatting. But if you think about it, what is life? Life is relationships, a series of relationships. And what's going to be the currency of exchange in those relationships for our entire life? The currency of exchange, our emotions and our feelings. And guess what? We don't know what they are. Do you see what I'm seeing? The hole in our education? No one teaches us exactly what we're talking about, really. That's why we're kind of scratching our heads. Is it this? Is it that? So let me suggest something for you. And if this doesn't work for you, you can throw it out at the end of the day. So this is how I'm kind of understanding. And I'm interested in the mechanism as much as the definition. So emotion is the disturbance. Emotion is a disturbance of the energy of my consciousness, which is myself, really. The energy of my consciousness, excuse my writing, the energy of my consciousness when the object of attachment is 4 things: damaged, threatened, moved, or lost. Now, I'm sorry that's a little bit long, but I'm kind of interested in the mechanics as much as the clear definition. So emotion is a disturbance. It's a disturbance where? Where does it have its origin? In the energy of my consciousness, in my mind. Not in my body, which is where we tend to think it originates, because we don't register our emotion until it affects something in our body usually, and that's because we're not aware the origin is in our consciousness. And it's in our consciousness where we become attached to objects like ideas and images and concepts. And so the object of attachment, when that's damaged, threatened, moved, or lost. So my favorite example, I'm sure anyone who's been with me before has heard me use it, is if you go out to the street in your car, someone has taken a coin down the side of your car, and how do you feel? Happy? No, you feel so you feel angry. So there's the emotion of anger. So someone's damaged the object of attachment, which is the car, and so the energy of your consciousness is disturbed, and that disturbance is called anger. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, I think most people would do. Any perfectionists here? Do we have any perfectionists in the room? Hands up, the perfectionists. Yeah, yeah. There's perfectionists. They act a wee bit. Yeah, it's not sure. They walk in the room. And say, "Now, move that. That should be there. That should be like that." Yeah, and so there's a little disturbance in the energy of consciousness because someone has moved the object of attachment. So the disturbance in the energy of consciousness is called, who moved that? Who moved that? Should be like that. It's called, no, what is the emotion? This is the difficult bit because we haven't learned the language. We haven't learned to name the emotions in our upbringing, in our education, What's the name of the emotion? Who would that? Irritation. Thank you. Have you ever lost your car keys? Yeah. And so the moment you lose your car keys, you've what? You've lost the object of attachment. So there's a disturbance in the energy of your consciousness called
Irritation.
Fear.
come on, they're not full fear. It's a form of fear.
Anxiety.
Anxious, yeah. And the longer you lose the keys, the anxiety turns into tension. No, don't go so fast. You're getting too extreme too quickly. I'm not panicking yet. That's a little bit further down the line. But I look at my clock and we missed the deadline. Oh, I'm going to panic.
Okay.
But I become more tense, don't I? I get very tense. And then as soon as I find the keys, the emotion disappears. The disturbance disappears. You get it? See?
Yeah.
So you're right. Someone said emotion is energy in motion. But if you look at the dictionary, the simple definition is agitation. And I'm just using the word disturbance to agitation. Same thing of mind. Agitation of mind. So it's quite subtle and it's quite hard to actually see this because we're just not accustomed to understanding the process. And if you're walking a spiritual path, which I think you all are here, then I need to understand exactly what's going on in my consciousness. And some of you are familiar with this little symbol of consciousness. That's all it is. So imagine this sheet is your consciousness. And imagine you have a mind. To me? And so you have a mind. Don't you have a mind? You have a mind? And what do you do what do you create in your mind?
Thoughts.
Thoughts, thank you. You create thoughts and images and ideas and concepts. This is where you run stories, movies of your mind, the history of your life, your relationship with others, and then you run the stories across the screen of your mind. Outside on the road sits your car. There it is, beautiful new BMW. So you bring the car into your consciousness, so now it's going to exist in two places, and you put the car up on the screen of your mind. No problem there, because you have to think about the car, make decisions about the car. But the problem is, I go into my mind, yeah, and I lose my sense of self in the image of the car, just for a few moments. So I could be sitting in the room, but actually in my mind, I'm driving my new car down the road. Oh, my new BMW is so good. So my body's here, but to the image of the car in my mind, that's the bit. If I don't see that, nothing is going to change. Nothing will change because this is our deepest habit. But then someone comes along outside and they scratch the car. It's as if they scratch because myself is totally identified with the car. And so that's why I react. And so there's a disturbance and it begins in the mind and it's called anger. So the energy of my consciousness takes a vibration, I'm very angry. And so the anger is not pleasure, the anger is pain. And this is how we make ourself suffer, ourself stressed, ourself unhappy. No one does that. Even the guy scratching the car doesn't make me angry. That's easy, isn't it? It's not him. Yeah? Who's making me suffer? Me. Who's in pain? It's me. It's not the guy with the coin in the car. Yeah, but that's what you've been taught to believe. It's them that's making me suffer, stressed, unhappy. No, it's not. It's because I have lost myself in what's on my mind. So if I don't want the pain, the suffering, the stress, if I don't want the anger, which is what stress is, I have to be not attached, but be detached. Yeah? And then if someone scratches the car, no problem. It's just a car. Yeah, it's just a car. It's just a piece of metal, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's lots of women here, so maybe a car is not. Maybe you're not attached to a car, but let's say you have a new carpet. See, new white carpet. Oh, darling, my new carpet just arrived. I'm so happy. And you have friends for dinner, and then one of your friends is walking across the carpet with a cup of coffee, And you can see the coffee going over the edge. It's as if it's going down in slow motion. You're going, oh, my new carpet. In that moment, I am a carpet. Yeah, in that moment, I have carpet in my mind, and I've lost my sense of self in the carpet, in my mind. And that's how we create stress, sorrow, suffering, unhappiness, discomfort for ourselves. No one else does that. Yes?
How about relationships then? Is that the same?
Exactly the same. You have a child, and you say, this is my child. No, they are not. Sorry, mums. There's a few dads here. I know there's a few dads. This is harder for mums than it is for dads. It's not my child. But we get very attached to our children, don't we? Especially in your culture. Not so much in mine. But in your culture, you do. Because you've been programmed to believe they're my children, my family, family life. But it's not mine. They don't belong to me. Does another person belong to me? No. But we bring the image of that person into our mind and we identify with that person. They're mine. And if something happens to them, it's as if it happens to me, and I take it very personally. And then I become very protective. Don't go out there. Don't do that. Oh, I'm so worried about you. Oh, dear, when you go, don't be up too late. You can't stay out for a certain time. And suddenly there's this barrier around it. See, and this is Mum's doing. Isn't it, Mum? Yeah. And so then we worry. And what is worry? We fear. We fear what might happen to the child. Even when they're 42, we fear. You're late. What's the matter with you? And we say, well, I'm so worried. Why didn't you call? And the child says, well, why are you always worrying? And Mom says, but I worry because I care. And in that moment, we learn worry equals care. No, it doesn't. Worry is fear and care is love. And they're the opposites. You cannot love if you are in a state of fear. See it, but we teach fear is love. Isn't that amazing? And where did we learn it? From our mom and dad. Where did they learn it? From their mom and dad. And this is called emotional confusion. Yeah, really, this is emotional confusion. And the world runs on this confusion until you untangle and straighten it out. But some people don't because they're emotionally addicted. They like to be worried. They like to be fearful because that gives them a sense of purpose in their life. So they like to suffer. That's why I'm a threat to your suffering, which you are addicted to. Funny, isn't it? This makes you laugh when you see it. But this is what's happened. Yes.
Is this the anxiety is the same?
Yeah. Anxiety, worry, panic, attention, they're all forms of fear. Just the fear of taking a different kind of vibration in your consciousness. And it's all because you're becoming attached to the person, the thing, maybe not something outside, but something inside. Do you ever argue? No, you never argue. And when you argue, it means you're attached to your opinion, which is really your what's at the core of your opinion? Your belief. And when you hear another belief in contradiction to that belief, what do? You see it as a threat. And suddenly you're in an argument. And what's the emotional content of an argument? What are the two main emotions that you feel in the argument? Anger and fear. Together, a little bit of each together. Yeah. And so you're suffering. Or are you quite happy to be angry and scared? Are you happy to be angry and scared? That's a really silly question, isn't it? When you stand back from it. But most people, they believe that's how life is lived. In a state of fear, in a state of anger. Why do you go to the movies? Maybe at the end of this day, you'll be thinking that was a very, very stressful seminar this afternoon at the BK Centre. And you're driving home, and you're driving past the movie theatre, and there's the latest horror movie on in the theatre. You say, oh, let's go. And you will go in and you'll pay someone to frighten the living daylights out of you. Yeah. In the name of relaxation. In the name of entertainment. Now, in the theatre, it's fine. You can be scared in your seat because you kind of know it's a safe space. to indulge in the emotion of fear. But what you're doing is you're literally in a workshop. You're learning how to create fear. That's what you're doing. You're learning fear is good. You're learning revenge. Oh, this movie is about revenge. And therefore anger must be good. So you're learning to be angry and scared. And then you go home and you tell other people how angry and scared you were when you watched the movie. And you sit there and you imagine something similar happening to you. And you recreate the anger and the fear because it was very stimulating. It was very, very severe. And you want to feel it again. So you tell people about the movie so that you can recreate the anger and fear so you can suffer again. But in a safe space. It's safe because it's not really happening, it's your imagination. But then you get into the habit of imagining something's going to happen. Similar to what you saw in the movie to you or to someone else. And then suddenly you're creating suffering regularly, constantly. In fact, suddenly your conversations are filled with moments of possible anger and fear, suffering. You see? And suddenly we don't want to talk about anything else. We want to, and this is called emotional addiction. So we're addicted to these emotions. How do you think Hollywood and Bollywood make their money? Yeah, this is how they make their money. They trigger our imagination and our attachments and our identifying with the character who lost his whole family and therefore he's got to take revenge. Very angry. Yeah, I'd be very angry too. I'm going to get angry with him. And so we start to create that emotion. And then I want to create some more of that emotion because that felt very righteous and I'm right to be feeling like that. And then before we know it, we're saying, well, isn't that human nature? Isn't it human nature to be upset and angry and scared and sad? That's what we say, isn't it? Yeah. And suddenly, wow, what happens? This is what happens. I don't know if you'll recognize this, but we get stuck in a cycle. And it begins with a moment of sadness. It begins with a moment of sadness. And sadness always follows. Sadness always follows loss. Loss, yeah. Whenever you lost something, don't you create an emotion of sadness? Even when someone else loses something, you go, oh, I'm so sad for you. Yeah, we create sadness. But the sadness doesn't stay. It turns, because it's just a vibration in your consciousness. And it turns into
Depression?
a lot. So if you keep creating the sadness, it will become permanent depression. But it turns into
Tears.
anger. Thank you. As you look for someone to blame for your loss. But the anger won't stay. The anger will turn into fear. The fear that it might happen again. And if you fear you're going to lose something again in the future, then guess what? It'll happen. And you'll feel sad. So suddenly you're going around in a cycle. You feel sad, then you get angry, then you get scared. And then you get sad, then you get angry, and you get scared. That's why sadness is always in the past and fear is always in the future. Fear is always the fear of loss. And in between, you're always looking to project your suffering onto someone else. Give someone else responsibility for your loss. And this is called the cycle of suffering. And this is where the vast majority of human beings, in my humble opinion, will spend their entire life. And they won't even know they're there. Because what do we call it? What's the get out clause? Well, it's natural to be sad. And it's natural to be angry. It's natural to be scared sometimes. It's human nature. And that's a lovely way of saying to myself, well, I don't need to do anything about it, really. You know, I can't help but suffer and be unhappy and be stressed. And this is what people, have you ever heard the cappuccino conversation behind you in the cafe? One person says, I'm so stressed, I've got so much to do, I'm going to miss the deadline, I'm so scared, my boss is not going to be upset, he's always giving me more and more and more work, I'm so stressed. There's a little gap, little silence. Then the other person says, you're stressed, You should see what I have to do. I've got many more deadlines than you. I've got much more than you. You should see my boss. And suddenly a little competition goes on to see who's the most stressed. Yeah. You see, you're laughing because you recognize that, don't you? Because we love to tell people how badly life is and how stressed we are. Because we want to feel as if I'm more stressed than you. Yeah, which is another way of saying I'm unhappier than you. Yeah. No, you're not allowed to be more unhappy than I'm the most unhappy here. Yeah, it's crazy. Really, and you laugh when you see it. So, would you like to know how to break the cycle?
Yes. Sure.
You sure?
Yes.
So all emotions basically fit into one of these three families. Sadness becomes depression or melancholy or hopelessness. Anger is irritation, frustration. It's rage, it's resentment, it's envy, it's jealousy. Fear is anxiety. It's worry, yes it is. It's worry, it's panic, it's tension, it's terror. Oh, there's so many different, they take different. So the three families of emotion. And if you look very deeply into the feeling of guilt and the feeling of shame, you'll find that all three are threaded through and create. But it's quite subtle. It's quite subtle to see it. And you need to meditate quite deeply to find the sadness, the anger, and the fear. So how do I break the cycle? Well, the cycle depends on one thing. It depends on one thing called the belief that I've lost something. Yeah, it's just a belief. That's all. Now, the belief that you've lost something depends on another belief, a little bit deeper, and that's the belief that you have something, yeah, that you possess something. Possession is just a belief system. It's just a belief system. That's all it is. And we've been taught this belief that you possess. That as soon as you get the car, get the latest Apple, the latest iPod, the latest house, that you possess it. That's the belief. And that's where loss, this sense of loss, comes from. So what's the truth? You know, the truth about belief is in the word belief. I don't know if you ever noticed that. The truth about belief is in the word belief. The being is lying to itself. Yeah, really. It's not so much the content of the belief that is wrong or a lie. It's just the very fact that you have one. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but the spiritual journey of awakening, is realizing that all beliefs are not right or wrong, but it's an inaccurate creation in your consciousness. And this is why. When you create a belief, which means you assimilate an idea from mum, dad, the media, society, culture, you bring it in, you go, this is what I believe. Then you take an idea, because that's all a belief is, and you make it static and you wrap yourself around it. Not your body, but yourself, your consciousness. And so you get attached to it. And so you're stuck, you're static. A belief is a static idea. That's why when you hear someone else's belief, you go, oh, no, that's not right. This is right. And you should be as right as me, because you listen to me. This is right. Whereas the truth is not closed around anything. The truth is open. The truth is dynamic. The truth is fluid. It's a fluid state of consciousness. See the difference?